You will be able to use elimination in order to solve systems of linear equations. I have two linear equations, 6y plus 2x plus 2 equals 0, and 2x plus 8y equals -6, and of course they are not in standard form. So the first thing we need to do before we even begin, step 0, is line up the terms. Now here's how we want them lined up. X plus y equals some number. Now look, the bottom one has that format. We have 2x plus 8y equals -8. But up here, we don't have that format. So let's take that top equation and let's move the things around such that the x's and the y's and the numbers are lined up. So if I have 6y plus 2x plus 2 equals 0, first thing I want to do is I want to rearrange my 2x and my 6y so that I get 2x plus 6y. So instead of saying 6y plus 2x, I have 2x plus 6y. That's going to line up with my 2x plus 8y, which is on the bottom. Now, notice the bottom, 2x plus 8y is equal to -8. My 2 is on the wrong side of the equal sign. My 2 is on the wrong side of the equal sign. So if I had 2x plus 6y plus 2 equals 0, I want this 2 to be on the other side of the equal sign. So how do I do that? Well, I have to subtract 2 from both sides. Remember, if you're moving a number across the equal sign, you have to subtract from both sides. So that cancels out, and I'm left with 2x plus 6y equals -2. And that's what I'm going to put up here. Equals -2. So I have completed my, before we even do the first step, I had to line up my terms. Now I have my x's lined up. I have my y's lined up. I have my constants lined up. So now I'm ready to go. Step 1, pick a variable and get a common multiple. That's easy. X. Common multiple, they're both multiples of 2. Easy. That's already done for us. Step 2, multiply the equation by the right factors. They're both multiplied by a factor of 2, so we're good to go there. Step 3, multiply an equation by -1, because remember, we want to eliminate. We want to use elimination. And in order to eliminate, we're going to have to add up the equations. But if we add now, if we were to add now, we'd get 4x plus 8 and 6 is 14y, and nothing's eliminated. So before we can add, before we do that, we must first multiply an equation by -1. Doesn't matter which one, because we need, if one of these two x's is going to be positive, the other one has to be negative, so that when we add them up, they cancel out, because our plan is to eliminate this x. So let's multiply an equation. Let's multiply the top equation by -1. Alright, times -1. And actually, let me make that a dot. Okay, times -1, so that you don't confuse it with an x. Okay, so let's rewrite. 2x times -1, that's -2x. 6y times -1 is going to be -6y equals -2 times -1 is +2. There we go. And then I rewrite my bottom equation. 2x plus 8y equals -8. Because I'm only multiplying one equation by -1, this top one. I could have multiplied the bottom one too, but I decided to do the top one just because. And there's what we have. And now I add up the equations. So now when I add them up, -2x plus 2x, they cancel out, and I eliminated my x when I added the equations. I eliminated my x, Now I need to add up my negative 6y plus 8y. That should give me 2y. 2y equals, and then 2 plus negative 8. That should give me negative 6. Good. Now, that was the hardest part. We're pretty much almost finished now. The next step is to solve for the remaining variables. So now we need to just solve for y. So let's get that y by itself. Divide both sides of the equation by 2. And y equals negative 6 over 2 is negative 3. And there we go. We just solved for y using elimination because we eliminated the x. Now we know what y is. Now that we have solved for y, we can move on to the next step, which is to substitute that variable, that y, into one of the original equations. So this is our original equation. I want to show it with the terms lined up because that makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so I'm going to take this y and I'm going to plug it in to one of the original equations. Either one works, so let's just plug it right into there. Y equals negative 3, so that's going to be 2x plus 6, and again, what's y? Y is negative 3. That's going to get plugged in there. Plus 6y equals negative 2. And finally, our last step is to solve for the other variable. So now we're just going to solve for that x, which should be quite easy. 2x plus negative 18, so let's just go 2x minus 18 equals negative 2. Add 18 to both sides, and we get 2x equals 16, and we divide both sides by 2, and finally x is equal to 16 over 2, which is 8. So the solution for our system of equations is 8 and negative 3. This is the point where these two lines intersect, and we solve that by using elimination.